Certainly the best.
You don't extradite.
Good afternoon and welcome to your weekly
Well, look at it from legal side and look at it from
60
sentiment
Minutes
side.
Nigeria. My name is Ewosa Agbolao. Today's edition is very interesting, I must tell you. It promises to bring you the very best of analysis. We're looking at the federal government anti-corruption fight. We're looking at how the government has failed. We're also looking at some of the recovered loots. The most prominent is the Abacha loot. Has it impacted on the economy of Nigeria? Has it impacted on the welfare of citizens? Have we benefited from these loots being recovered by the federal government? So we're looking at so many issues. Suspended DCP, Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari, is another issue. This is a super cop. He is still a suspect. He's undergoing trial. Until the trial is concluded, we can't really comment on whether he should remain in the police or whatever. He should be extradited to the U.S. or whatever. But we have a very seasoned lawyer in our midst, a legal luminary, and also a clergyman, Barrister Pastor Jim Osagede. Nice to have you with us today. You'll be talking about the legal aspects of some of these things. We also have a very seasoned analyst, a lecturer in academics with us, Dr. Maxwell Usagi. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Ewosa. Good afternoon, viewers.
With us, a man who has worked for years as an analyst of repute and also knows the nitty-gritty of democracy, governance, because he has lived in the U.S. and knows so much about democracy. We're talking about Isaac Irabor. I was hoping someone would say that. So welcome to today's show. Isaac Irabor is an elder who knows so much about what's going on in Nigeria. Okay, so we just get started with Pastor Barrister Jim on the program. Now, looking at the fight against corruption, we have so many anti-corruption agencies. We have the FCC, we have the ICPC, you know. Do you think this government has really failed well in terms of its fight against corruption?
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
I would like to start from the premise of what is corruption itself.
Okay.
You know, you can't talk about, an item without really knowing what it means. You know, corruption is talking about, excuse me,
yes,
fraudulent practices,
okay,
inappropriate use of power, and, unauthorized or illegal, activity by government officials to influence decisions out of the normal procedure.
Yes.
But right now in Nigeria, the most prominent of all these, description, tends to zero in on financial corruption.
Yes.
That is stealing of money.
And Nigerians are so interested in that aspect.
So right now in Nigeria, it's unfortunate that corruption has become so endemic. It's as if is fighting back. Corruption itself is fighting back. And, it's so deep in the fabric of society that almost every government that have come up to fight corruption have been defeated. During Olusegun Obasanjo's regime, it came up, in spite of the fact that we have a plethora of laws, some states, some national acts that is against corruption. He came up with the idea of EFCC. And EFCC was supposed to be, the arrowhead of tackling corruption in Nigeria. But EFCC, legally, EFCC has sorry, I have a minute to go. EFCC has a setback. EFCC is an institution that was born late. because it's a federal act. That EFCC really does not have the power to probe the activities of corruption that takes place in the state and in the local government, as long as it does not affect the federal purse. That is one of the issues that the EFCC is having. Now, besides that, the issue of corruption is not just starting. In Nigeria history, out of the 62 years Nigeria has been. I have the same, age with Nigeria. I was born October 1st, 1960.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, if me as a human being has been able to develop up to this stage, what has happened to the entity that is called Nigeria? Where right from the military regime, if you put all of them together, 28 years were wasted by the military, juntas who came in to grasp power. They always come with the notion that they want to fight corruption, but they end up being more corrupt than the people they want to fight. If you look at the historical antecedents of all the past military heads of state, all the people who were military governors in their time, they are so rich that if there's reincarnation, when they come back the next war, they don't even need to work. So it's so bad in the country that the people who are clean, who don't want to be corrupt, they are the people that are regarded as bad people. What are the corrupt people? Are the people that people applaud. If you look at the society, nobody cares to ask how you make the money. All they want to know is how much they can get from you. Right from the petty trader to the little bribe you give in offices, just go up the ladder.
Yeah. Right
from stage 1 to the highest, reaching the sky, there's a chain of corrupt practices. Where for EFCC has not been able to distinguish itself as an independent, corrupt, anti-corruption agency, because EFCC over time have shown, favoritism. This is a country where a lot of politicians that were very, very corrupt, to the extent that they were stinking corruption. Immediately they crossed to the ruling party. Their chairman comes out to say, as you have come, your sins are forgiven. We know a lot of people that have been indicted, a lot of people that are visibly corrupt, but EFCC refused to handle their matters because they belong to the ruling party.
But the EFCC will negate that, because most times when they are accosted with that notion, they've always cleared the air that some of these cases are in the court. For instance, Uzo, the former governor, yes, he moved to the ruling party, but he was prosecuted.
What about? I didn't want to mention it.
Okay.
You know what the case with this is public knowledge, so I'm just repeating what people already know.
Okay.
Godswill Akpabio was to be arraigned by EFCC, and when they listed his count, there were so many, that you can even lose count. And they talk about billions and billions of naira that he has taken and the rest of them. Immediately he crossed to APC. Nobody talked about him today. And he became, he became a minister, and he went to the Senate. So somebody who is so corrupt and is a member of the Senate, can he work against corruption? If you look at the arrangement, the hierarchy of some political parties, even the ruling political party, those who are being indicted of corruption, they are there. They are chairmen. They are controlling the affairs of the state. The man that was showing on video, who was receiving wads of US dollars. So obvious. In other climes, they cannot go scot-free. Even when you have a little tenting of corruption, that you are even reasonably suspected to be corrupt, you can't raise your head to say you want to occupy, public office. So the fight against corruption is not going the right way. We need to rejig the system all the way through, not just those who are stealing the billions. We have a Nigeria former president today, posthumously is still giving money to Nigeria from his corruption.
Yes, that's the Abacha loot.
Billions. In fact, if that man, God did not take that man away, he would have sold the country, because for that short period of time, he looted so much that would have been enough for Nigeria to move forward. So I would like to
thank you for your opening remarks. That's the reason I wanted a legal luminary to actually get the program started. We must say that corruption is a monster that must be destroyed if Nigeria must be catapulted to higher heights in quality of nations. And I must commend the statement of Mr. President, top to bottom, if you understand what I mean. So corruption must be tackled from top to bottom. Let's get the thought of Dr. Maxwell. Corruption has become endemic, just like the legal luminary has said. The DCP is in detention now, all because he's been alleged to have been involved in illegal drug transactions and illicit funds. Only recently, properties were highlighted, were outlined, but he has denied that he's not the owner of the plaza, the mansion, the buildings in Maiduguri and all of that. But this is a man that was a super cop, a man that arrested, criminals, and he was applauded by the National Assembly. Is this corruption fighting back?
Thank you, Ewosa. Well, naturally, I'm not a lawyer, but I know as a lecturer, I lecture in law department as well, in the sense that the courses that has to do with my side as a kind of a borough course. So more often than not, I have friends who are lawyers, and I've always maintained to them when we have a kind of a meeting point where we have to discuss national matters, that the greatest problem we have in this country is not the person who is corrupt, neither is it the people who applaud them. The greatest problem we have is the people who goes to the court to defend the obvious facts. Yes, I know they might, in quote, they might say that they are doing their job. Yes, but there is this moral side of life, aside the professional side of life. There is this moral side of it, that you, as a person that is directly affected by the tendency of the corrupt practice of that particular person, the road you are not able to drive it, probably you are able to fly, but your brother who lives in the village is not able. So, but you go to court because you are son, you have all the wherewithal knowledge to frustrate the anti-corruption agency. You frustrate them in the court of law, and they come back and say corruption is endemic. Why would corruption be endemic? Why we individuals have said to ourselves that we will constantly defend the obvious facts. So having laid this foundation, I would like us to look at the corruption, if indeed Nigeria as a country has fared well over time. In 2019, in 2019, we were recorded by Transparency TI that we were 26 most corrupt in number. Just imagine. In that survey, it was 149 countries that was surveyed. And it was established that we were 26. It is expected that the man that came to say that I want to fight corruption, after 2 years and everything, we will see the statistic change drastically to a more favorable state. But guess what? We fell to 25.
It's now 36.
No, sir. As of 2021, yeah, we were 20. Thank you, sir. As of 2021, we were 24. As of 2021, currently, those particulars of that particular body has not done the 2022 survey. So it was reported by Times Premier, clearly stated. So I'm waiting. You know, when you see a credible organization coming out with fact and figure like this, you respect them for who they are, because they are not easily influenced. So whatsoever report that they have within the federal government establishment, I will not bank on that. But I can tell you, this is a body that is known to constantly carry out a survey every year to ascertain the level of corruption, the corruption index, country to country. But it will surprise you that Libya, as at 2021, without government, Libya, as at 2021 without government, they were 17. Now the difference between the country that doesn't have government and the country that has government, just look at the race, 17 and 25. So, but guess what? The same country that has 17, the man in Libya is 35 naira dinar to $1. Sir, I'm making fact, I'm giving you figure. Now, if a country that has government, a functional government, for 8 years, and you came with a matter of, I want to fight corruption, and today, what we see as at 2021, by Transparency TI, is making it clear to us that corruption as at 2021, we are 24. So there is really nothing we can say about this government. When you talk about agric, they are zero. When you talk about transport, they are zero. When you talk about the corruption, zero. When you talk about fighting economy in such a way that, okay, the dollar and the naira, now the corruption that we are talking about has it turned up to even the dollar and the naira thing, that when you go to the bank, there are discrepancies on how you give dollar. Discrepancies. Are you supposed to have discrepancies on how you sell dollar in a single nation? And we have a functional government. Now, why will the anti-corruption agency, why will they fight what they don't have the capacity? You don't give what you don't have. Now, when those people, see, including the chairman of the EFCC, we've heard over several years, I don't want to start mentioning names of the various chairmen, so we've heard several years how they were self-indicted of what they are fighting. So how will you give what you don't have? So the point is very clear. There is nothing tangible we can say about the fight of corruption that this government came up with. Rather, what they came to me, they have built on it in a more advanced manner, created a blueprint where everybody can just strive better and sleep in your home with peace. So as it stands, I doubt if this country has a functional government. I don't know.
Okay, Dr. Maxwell, we'll come back to you. Let's get the thought of Mr. Isaac Irabor. But before we get your comments, whenever the FCC makes a public statement, oh, so former governor has been arrested, so former governor has been is in detention, headlines, top politicians being grilled, this, and you know, Nigerians are really excited, but most times, at the end of the day, some of them are prosecuted, some go to jail, some come out, some are released, some at the end of the day, we don't even know how the cases are ends up and all of that. But let's just get the thought of Isaac Irabor.
Well, thank you. I just listened to this ebullient young man.
Yes.
And I cannot but agree with your thoughts which are exuding to the Nigerian public.
Yes.
The Edo people are unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we started earlier talking this way in the press, in television,
yes.
and the rest of it. Nigeria has had a single, it's not the production of oil, it's not the production of food, it's not the ability to raise good men like you, highly educated men and women. Because I travel quite often, you see Nigerian products are really seen and known and accepted worldwide, in any country. Wherever a Nigerian goes into, you can see that mark of Nigeria. Smart man, yes. Intelligent man, he can shove you aside. You see them on the immigration line. Oh, that's a Nigerian.
Yes.
Because you see a Ghanaian, you know it's a Ghanaian. If you see someone from Cameroon, Nigerian is #1 black man in the world, even more than a black American. We are better educated. Go to New York hospitals, go to London hospitals, go to the bar. Everywhere you go is a Nigerian. I'm so proud to be one Nigerian. You see, the problem is this question of ethnicity, educational gap. You can go on and on. You see, this distinction that we create, there's a standard. An educated man is an educated man. There are indices. But here we say, well, he's an Hausa man. So give him some extra, what someone may not get somewhere else. Igbo, Yoruba. See, but when you say the standard, when Awolowo was set standards here in 1955, I went to school in the 50s, into 60s. I started in the 50s. If you see a man that was educated, or woman, because our women have always been our own appendages that we carried with us. The quality of education was different before independence and after independence. Nigerians are naturally intelligent, including our brothers, the Hausa Fulani brothers. You see, those who were lucky enough to have fathers who were educated in the north, have you seen them? The former emir, the man of Kano, Sanusi, he's not the smartest man in the world. So it doesn't really, it's not because of ethnicity or whatever. A smart man and a man who gets opportunities. Do you understand? So when you look at all this, it's responsible for all that we have. Now, when you know that an individual is incapable of performance, and through this thing of ethnicity, oh, let us put him there, which is good. Let all of us taste the pudding of the cake. But that is not. Look for a good man. That's what America does. Yeah, we will still get into that circle of ethnicity for equilibrium. But bring out your best, not bring out your worst. Do you understand? Bring out your best. Oh, that's your best from Hausa land because of ethnic situation, because of the way the white man, the British, put all of us together. Yes, the using will get better results. You do the same with Igbo man, you do the same with Yoruba man, and even us, the Benin people, who have a special relationship with the British. I delivered a paper in London in 1995, Africa 95, and they could recognize, because we were the only ones who fought the British to get what we have today in Nigeria. We fought the British, and they almost refused to live here. That's why you have Benin Club 1931. I'm going into history now. I cannot fault or beat what you have said. You said you are intelligent.
But I was going
to tell me quickly just in this thought so that I can go.
Okay.
I'm building a background.
Yeah, I understand.
On which you put all these things. You see, our people by nature, we are just now inherently, according to you, corrupt. A little child on the street, go and buy me akara to eat. You know what I'm saying? Baba, if you don't give me money, I don't go.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Talk to average woman.
Yeah.
The average woman. No woman wants to listen to your the great Oyibo with your diction that you are speaking here. If money is not involved,
forget it.
Our parents used to be very shy. I'm not just going to give my daughter to this man because of his money. The Benin person, you see what I'm saying? So we are all corrupt. That's the point I want to make. Like you mentioned, from the beginning to the top, from the president to the puppet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believed Buhari when we started, when he started. And you remember the comments he made. I'm for everyone, I'm not for anyone. You could have understood at that time.
It became a metaphor.
But he fell ill. The man was sick almost all through his tenure. Maybe in the last 1 or 2 years now, he's beginning to realize. You know, it should be passed.
Yes.
But he could, a sick man cannot resign. You know, he did not even know. I thought he probably didn't know what he was doing. You know
we cannot speak for him.
We
can't speak for him, yes.
So, but to agree with you, this is a very corrupt country. We're looking at the leaders. Let us look at us, ourselves. Are we not, most of us, when you have about 90% corrupt people, everybody is corrupt there, almost. So we are going to appeal to you younger people, brilliant people. Anywhere you see them, they show they are Nigerians. You guys, you are going to change this system. Because even our generation, we failed. So, I don't know what kind of engineering, because every subject now has an engineering department, including law and medicine. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
So, it's going to be a lot of work.
Okay.
Because our almost all the people that are leading us, there are some that never wanted to be corrupt. But the society corrupts them. A man, he gets a contract, and, you know, everybody goes in there. And you know how the man got that money. Everybody goes there. Because we are basically poor. The people who made us, who are so corrupt, have made us very poor, so that we depend on them. So how are you going to corrupt a man who is so rich, you know, is wealthy, and you know what that man could have been a killer on the basis of morality, because you mentioned morality just now.
Thank you,
so
sir.
we find that we are all almost involved in the same cesspool.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you. I understand the background that Isaac Rabo has been able to establish. I told you, he's somebody that has worked with top politicians, very senior politicians, and is well traveled. So you can understand what the point is making, that Nigerians need collective effort to fight corruption. That is the summation of what he has said. It's not just about Buhari, it's not just about one man. All Nigerians must collectively resolve that we must fight corruption. Because corruption is a monster. Corruption has taken Nigeria backwards. The retrogressive status of Nigeria can be attributed to corruption. So let's get the reaction of Barrister Jim, because Dr. Master made a comment that some persons are known to be corrupt and lawyers defend them. You need to clear the air on that.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on that. You know, as bad as the country is, it's not a lawless society.
Okay.
The country has a ground norm, the constitution, and you know, the constitution stipulates that everybody, no matter how grievous the offense is, will be given fair hearing. You understand? And in law, there's a massive which says the uttering pattern.
Okay.
That is, hear the other side.
Okay.
You know, hear the other side means that you must give the person opportunity to prove, you know, his own cause, to defend himself. And the person who will interpret the law on your behalf to defend you is a lawyer. That is why even the hardest criminal even the armed robber. You remember Anini of those days? He had a lawyer who defended him in court.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Chief Uzamere, is a chief now.
Yes.
He's a very senior lawyer. He
Yes.
was a lawyer to.
I've met him.
Yeah,
That was my teacher at school.
Oh, great.
At Immaculate Conception College.
Great. He's a very senior member of the bar. That shows that you need to be defended, because if you don't do that, it will be faulted as you go up. You can't put somebody on the dock and he has no lawyer. That is why even the judge will even ask from the bar for a volunteer who will do pro bono. That is, he wants to offer your services free of charge.
Okay.
Now, the problem that we are having in Nigeria, fighting corruption, tends to overlook an important aspect of the society. Now we are it's just like the fire service coming to put off an inferno. The fire service is putting off the inferno, must also investigate the source of the fire. Right now in Nigeria, the issue we are having with corruption will not end if we are just concentrating on fighting it. It has to be, an ethical reorientation of the system, of the society.
Yes.
Just like patriotism, as I always say, you don't bring people together in a room and preach to them to be patriotic. If the country has been fed to you, you'll be patriotic as you are growing up. You want to sacrifice your life.
Yeah.
That's what you have in the US, Japan, in the UK. So we need to borrow a leaf from those countries.
Yes.
Right from kindergarten, start to teach these children that taking what does not belong to you is wrong.
Okay.
Don't say that this child is still in the primary school. Spank the child according to his capacity, ability to receive correction as you are going up. So along the line, also make sure that the necessary amenities are available to the citizens. Why do you need to steal money, for instance? I'm not justifying it.
Yes.
Now, if you don't have food to eat, you don't want to die of starvation.
Yes.
You go and steal food, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, you don't have good roads. If the government provide good roads, if the government provide stable electricity, if the government provide good schools and give scholarship to those who are indigent. When I was in high school, I was a scholarship from Professor Ambuzali. He was paying us 120 naira a month that time. We go to National Bank at Akopava. At the end of the month, you collect your 120 naira. You can't even finish that money before the next one comes. Your father will have respite. Now, in Nigeria, Ubembuda did it. Government does it, they did it. Yes. As you are intelligent, they give you scholarship. Whether you are not intellectually sound, but you are very good in sports, they will send you to the department that you belong. Yes. So if you provide all these things, these items for citizens, they start to develop love for their country. Those who are making the country dry, they hate the country to the extent that they want to take out the wealth of the country and store it in another jurisdiction.
Yes.
You understand? Now, if you watch very well, there are some people when they go to party. I want to give you a practical example.
Okay.
Some people, they come to your party even uninvited. You serve them food, they finish eating, they take another one, they open rubber bag and pour it. Why would somebody do that? It's not just out of greed or maybe the reason he's doing that is because he has children at home
to feed,
who are also waiting for mommy or daddy to come from the party and bring some remnants. So the system is so bad. If you live in, I'm not trying to be egocentric. I live in some of those developed countries where as you come out, the bus is there. You enter the bus. You forget something at the train station. You go to the bus. You pick it. You're not going to be thinking about stealing money. You are not going to be. Here, the things that we need to do, we are not doing it. In Japan, for instance, if you buy a car, if you buy a brand new car and you pay cash,
yes.
Anyway, before you do that, you must show to the police that you have a
means
parking,
of income.
Yeah, parking lot. You have a parking permit because they don't have to. Now, within 5 days, the police will come to your house very early in the morning, like 5 a.m., and tap at your door. They will measure or they give you your statistics. We don't have a good database here. They'll say, Mr. John, on I will you bought that, you are working, so you bought this car, you paid 3 million naira, for instance. Congratulations. But where do you work? How did you get the money? You have to explain. Now you see people, they have fleet of cars, some costing 10 million, 15 million, and you hate them, baba. And even the police, with due respect, they will give salute when they get to the roadblock. There are so many things that are inherently wrong in Nigeria. You are fighting the corruption, you are shooting guns at the top. The real thing is still germinating and spreading. you remember, some of the actions of the government make people want to even be more corrupt. Magu was arrested and a lot of properties traced to him. When they were doing promotion in the police force, they promoted Magu to Assistant Inspector General Police. They topped him, that is to give him a handshake for being corrupt. Say, boy, you did very well. Now we are giving you higher rank.
That's not correct.
But that's my own interpretation. So what do you want people who are under him to do? So I want us to follow from our own homes. When your child takes what you did not give, correct that child.
Thank you very
Try
much.
to bring up that child so that he will not be a misfit in the society. Because good name is better than riches.
Thank you. I feel like giving, I feel like asking my guests to give you a lot of applause for that, because good name is better. But it appears the youths, it appears some Nigerians now don't think about good name. They are just interested in wealth, in cash, and I don't believe that's proper. We'll get the thought of my other guests, but I'll just be told by the director, we'll just take a brief break now, and when we come back, we'll be looking in depth into how the corruption monster can be tackled. Nice to have you back. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in to enjoy your time with us on 60 Minutes Nigeria. We are looking at the fight against corruption. Corruption is endemic, top to bottom, and it must be tackled. And my guest has just postulated that Nigerians must be tough, to be patriotic from infancy. They must be taught to love Nigeria. That those who steal the patrimony of the country, those who steal the wealth of the country, they hate Nigeria. That is a very punchy statement. Those who steal from Nigeria, they hate Nigeria. Because if you love Nigeria, your interest should be to contribute to the development of Nigeria. I remember many years ago, Bende State, there was fundraising for the development of Bende State, and that's why we must celebrate Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Benedion at 88. Many years ago, he was the highest donor to the development of Bende State. So if you contribute to the state, you contribute to the country, you don't want to steal from the country. Well, that's food for thought. Dr. Maxwell, how do we tackle this problem?
Okay, I'm not as old as Nigeria.
Okay.
Nigeria is far older than me, but I'm a student of history. Now, let me take you back to Genesis, the Bible. In Genesis 3, if you read it down, you get to understand what the drama that played out between God, Adam, Eve. Now, when Eve gave the apple to Adam to eat, there was an established law on ground given by the Most Supreme, beyond all reasonable doubt, is not debatable. Such law is not something one will over sit down and be debating, because it was expressly given by the one who created the world. Now, at a point, upon that, even when Adam and Eve knew quite all right that this is a law given by the Most Supreme, the nature of man made her to commit the husband into that. Even when the husband knew quite all right that this thing you are giving me is against the law of this garden for we not to eat, but he tasted of it. And at the end of the day, even when God came and asked him, Adam, what have you done? Rather than admit his own fault, he shifted the who blame down to the wife. And he turned to the wife, rather than the wife admitting his own fault, the wife turned the blame to the Senate. And I want to believe if the Senate has mouth to talk that day, it would have also shifted the blame. And that is the situation of this country. Now, corruption by the nature of human, we are all, is in us. So, human being does not create a system that will negate his own free willism. Are you getting me?
Yes.
As an average individual, you can't create a system that will negate your free willism, because you actually want to just live based on the premise of the fact that you have that tendency to exhibit whatsoever you intend to exhibit. But guess what? The reason for law is to actually guide us not to exhibit those extraordinary tendencies that we have in us that would have negate the normalcy of a system. Now, based on that, people come together to create law. Corruption is not a Benin word, neither is a corruption announcer word. Corruption is an English word, which means it's generic. Now, when we say corruption, the full word is corrupt. Call it New York, call it UK, call it etc., etc. There is corruption everywhere. Now, the only way is not the people that will say, let me not be corrupt. The system makes you not to be corrupt. Are you getting me? Because an average human being is corrupt, but the system has a way of creating checks and balance.
That's right.
That makes you to hide your greed and keep it on check so that you don't get involved. Now, in a country where the system is dead on arrival, it is expected that everybody will be corrupt. Now, if from the top to bottom, or let me stick to the top, as we know, why would an average individual not be corrupt? When, as he said, you saw a chairman of, I'm not mentioning him.
Yes.
So you saw a chairman of, in quote,
yes,
anti-corruption agency. He is corrupt. We saw link, we read it and everything. It was published everywhere and etc. And the same person you give, why with the young boy that is just growing up 17 years not saying this is the other way to do it? Now, the reason why you see corruption everywhere is the fact that there is no system to keep us in a state where we have to behave ourselves, not expose our greed. Now, the reason why private sector, you see, they strike better, and the little fund they have, they use it to increase more development, is because they have these checks and balance. Not that there are no corrupt people in that particular premise, or in that premises, or there are no corrupt people in that establishment. There are corrupt people everywhere. Now, the problem we have with government is the fact that you create a system, but you will never allow such system to work. It is expected if you don't allow the system you create to work, certainly what are you going to get? You get more corrupt practices. And that is where we are right now. So that is why I use that analogy.
Yes.
From day one, we saw Adam and Eve that knew God. We were not opportune to see God, but they were opportune to see God. If they could still do that,
yes,
who are we not to be corrupt?
Where they,
yeah, there are way out.
yes,
Several ways. Now, my point is this. Now, if you study the advanced country, how they've been able to curb corruption, is the fact that not that there are no corruption everywhere, yeah, but when there are documents to substantiate everything. There is no plea bargaining. Like what we are now seeing is becoming a norm. You come. No, what we mean by plea bargaining, if plea bargaining exists and everything, yes, as we said, yes, I understand that there are plea bargaining, but you see the system flogging, media flogging it beyond reasonable measure, and before you know it, the person will first resign first. Are you getting me, sir? Yeah, yeah. The person will resign his office first before you start discussing further issues and everything. Is he not the Prime Minister of London that was just accused of a little thing and everything? What happened? The next day, they have to ask him, resign. But in here, the person you are accusing that is corrupt is in the sense telling you, what do you know? Sitting on the same document and telling you that there is no way forward on this. So it's a systematic thing. And if Nigeria as a country or as a government is ready to make corruption better, corruption will be better. But to say an average individual, we are the one to fight corruption, is very impossible. System fight corruption, not the individual fighting corruption. Thank you.
Isaac Irabo, now you mentioned something, and that is very, it's a remarkable statement. You said that the elderly ones fail this country. So, how can it be amended?
Well, you see, there's something that is extant now. I want to start with young people. You see, when the old spoil, the younger people will repair. We expect, because older people, they are old now, they can't, their contribution, except by way of advice.
So why are they still seeking for government?
Exactly. But why are they? Because they are in charge. No, they're in charge.
Yes.
You see, the point is that we talk about 419. We talk about those who go to do with these cultists, Yahoo, and all the rest of it. You see, these young men waited and waited, thinking that the system will change itself.
Yeah. It's a system. It's not an individual.
It's a system. No child was born to be naturally wayward.
Yeah.
Because all these things you are talking, pertain to being wayward.
Yeah.
Children who were properly educated, trained.
Waited
and now they see the alternative, a revulsion. That's exactly what they're telling you. If my father could have been XY cult man, and today I'm a cult man, he learned to be a cult from his house, from his home. I'm just using that as one example. A young man, he leaves school. 10 years later, he doesn't have a job. You accuse him, he didn't want to go to school. He went to school, maybe not to encourage himself, but make mama and papa happy. And 10 years later, nothing has changed in his life. And he now says, okay, I've read fairy tales, storybooks, where if you do this, Dillinger in America, the other man in Chicago, his children, they watch most of these things. And he said, if I do this, I hate to encourage these things that we think the Northerners and us, our people are also involved. Abducting people, doing things the very wrong way, because we've seen our elders doing the same thing. And they use the brilliant lawyers to defend them.
Yeah.
This guy you mentioned just now, the DC, Abakari. You know what I'm saying? They said he's involved in drugs, is he?
Yeah.
And all kinds of profiteering and all sorts of things. Even there are people who are very bad thugs, who kill people for people.
Yeah.
For money. So, do you understand? These are vices. But our younger brothers now, they now say, well, you mean you can kill someone and somebody will pay you 10 or 20 million for it? Hey, man. My mama and I, we don't have food in the house, man. We haven't eaten in a very long time. Maybe 000, 010. You know what I'm saying? So they begin to try
to think of the repercussion.
Look. Yeah. There is no repercussion. That's the truth. If there's a repercussion, they will stop.
The hellfire.
If there's a repercussion, you go out there, you go to a church, and brazenly shoot and kill people. And the system helps you to escape. And they even reward you for it. Why will you stop it?
The system goes after them.
If the system goes after, yes.
Some of them have been arrested. And they'll be prosecuted.
Yes.
But I must thank you,
we have had
Mr.
so many such cases. I'm not going to load you with this, that, and that. I'm looking at these are ways of resolving this matter.
Because of time, Avia will thank you too for enjoying your 60 minutes with us, or part of your 60 minutes with us on the program. My guests, very eloquent. They have a lot to say. And we must make this very, very expressly known that corruption must be stopped. In Nigeria,
Corruption will not
we
be
need
solved.
Nigeria
You only
to
mitigate
develop,
it.
we must tackle corruption. Unabated corruption, as it is now, will take Nigeria to the doldrum. Once again, I thank Isaac Irabo for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I thank Barrister Pastor Jim Osagede. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Let me say congratulations to Chief.
Yes,
Happy
our
birthday,
first
sir.
ever-
Happy birthday,
Happy
to you,
birthday,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
I think we should be learning from him,
Yes.
not these other politicians who.
So we congratulate the Sama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gilbert Sari Benedion, at 88.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, sir.
to you for
Thank you.
creating this platform.
Exactly.
So that's the show. Thanks for being a part. Bye-bye.
Thank you.